Okay, so you want to get started investing in dividend stocks, and one of the biggest concerns you have is, are my dividends safe? So you immediately jump to Dividend Aristocrats. So then the next big question is, what are the top 5 yielding Dividend Aristocrats right now? What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Average Joe Investor channel. My name is Joe, and in this video, I've got a great setup for you. We are doing a comprehensive deep dive review of the top 5 high yield Dividend Aristocrats right now here in August of 2021. In this video, I'm gonna break down for you the 5 different dividend stocks that we're covering here, what those yields are. With each of the 5 different dividend stocks, we're gonna look back in time at 2 distinct time periods. We're gonna look at monthly contributions without reinvesting dividends, monthly contributions with reinvested dividends, lump sum investing without reinvesting any dividends, starting with a lump sum investment upfront. And by popular demand, I've also included a strategy of lump sum upfront investing plus monthly reinvested dividends. My goal with this video, guys, was to make the most comprehensive review out there on these different dividend stocks. So if you appreciate this video, if you learn something new, you add some value to your investments, then hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new, and let's get started. Hey guys, Joe here. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button below the video to make sure you don't miss any of my future videos. And if you do click that subscribe button, make sure to leave me a comment below saying you subscribed, and I promise to personally respond to your comment. Alright guys, you know I want to always add massive value with every video I make for you guys, and I never want to waste your time, so let's jump right into the content. Alright guys, so here's the spreadsheet, and here are the 5 dividend stocks we're covering. These are the top 5 high yielding dividend aristocrats right now. Now, quick note here, I did not include AT&T, and I think it's reasonable not to because they've already said, hey, we're cutting our dividend. So I decided not to include them. You can get mad at me all you want, but I think that everyone can understand that at least on some level. Keeping AT&T out of it, here are the top 5 high yielding dividend stocks that are dividend aristocrats. When I say dividend aristocrat, I mean companies that are part of the S&P 500 that have consecutively raised their dividend every single year for at least 25 years. All right, we've got ExxonMobil Corporation, XOM, Chevron Corporation, CVX, International Business Machines, or IBM, People's United Financial Incorporated, PBCT, and Consolidated Edison Incorporated, ED. Their dividend streaks here, 38, 34, 26, 29, and 47 consecutive years. And right now the top yield is Exxon at 6.04, then we've got 5.26% for Chevron, 4.65 for IBM, 4.65 for People's United, and 4.2% for Consolidated Edison. First thing we're gonna do, guys, we're gonna look at 2 distinct time periods. We're gonna look back 33 years from August of 1988, which is when I could get all the data for all 5 of these companies. We're gonna look at August 1988 through August 2021, not reinvesting dividends with monthly contributions, which we'll control right here, reinvesting those dividends, a lump sum investment strategy, and a lump sum plus monthly strategy here. And then we're gonna look at an 11-year look back here. We're gonna look back from January 2010 through August of 2021 for the same 4 strategies. We've got some great graphs down here we're gonna look at here shortly. And then after we look at this look back period and see how these companies have performed historically, that's only part of the equation. We need to understand, as great as they've been in the past, are they worth owning right now? And of course, to do that, we're gonna look at our monthly dividend stock spreadsheet where we look at all the dividend stocks that have been raising dividends for at least 5 consecutive years. All 5 companies are part of that list, and we'll see what those current metrics are right now. All right, guys, let's jump right into it here. We're gonna first look at this monthly contributions, not reinvesting dividends from 33 years to see how these companies have performed. Let's go ahead and reveal this data here. We can see here from a dividend perspective, top performer by far is People's United Financial. $26,000 in trailing 12 months of dividends. Now, when I say trailing 12 months of dividends, I mean in that 33rd year, after 33 years, how much in dividends have been received over the trailing 12 months, the last 12 months. And then we've got portfolio value. So from a dividend perspective, People's United wins going away, and from a portfolio value, same thing for 33 years. We'll have to look at the graphs to see how that all worked out. We can see here that both IBM and Chevron performed relatively well here. They came in 2nd and 3rd place with respect to dividends. Consolidated Edison clearly did not perform as well as the others with respect to dividends, although they did have a higher portfolio value than Exxon. Let's take a look at reinvesting those monthly contributions over that time frame. All right, so here we've got, again, running away with it, People's United Financial over the 33 previous years. $74,000 in trailing 12 months of dividends and $1.67 million in portfolio value. Second place, a distant second place, would be Chevron at $705,000. And then third place, IBM with respect to portfolio value. And then with dividends, everybody else just way far behind. We've got $34,000 for Chevron, and then we've got $25,000 each for Exxon and Consolidated Edison. All right, let's take a look at a lump sum investment here for that 33 look back. So we're not doing any monthly contributions. We're just saying $100,000, that's what the amount we're gonna use here. $100,000 we place in each of these companies back in 1988. What would be going on right now today with these companies? All right, starting with $100,000, we would have $1.21 million with People's United 33 years later, generating $56,000 in dividends. We've got actually a pretty close second place here with Chevron at worth $915 and generating $46,000. And then the other three are distant, third, fourth, and fifth place here. We've got $29,000, $23,000, and $14 for Exxon, IBM, and Consolidated Edison. From a portfolio value though, also distant, third, fourth, and fifth place, we've got $505, $495, and $345. So Consolidated Edison over 33 years did not perform anywhere near as good as the others. Let's take a look now, lastly, at the last strategy of lump sum investment plus monthly reinvested dividend. Let's reveal this. So we got now $2.89 million for People's United. We've got 1.6 for Chevron, just 1.03 million for IBM. Then we've got Consolidated Edison at 966 and Exxon at 945. With respect to dividends, if we'd been doing this, People's United would be worth $130,000 every single year in dividends, which is pretty great. All these numbers are great when it comes to just having endless cash flow. 130 for People's United, 81 for Chevron, 81,000. Then we've got 55,000 for Exxon, 46,000 for IBM, and Consolidated Edison at 39,540. If we look at those graphs here real quick, let me scroll down now. So we've got here monthly contributions with a reinvested dividends. This is 33 years looking back here. People's United Financial just really took off here, and here's where it happened. Right here, right around 2003, it really took off where the others just stayed pretty flat. Then we've got here monthly contributions not reinvesting any dividends, and you can see that it's a little bit closer along here. You can see this is where IBM really was close at one point here, right around 2012, 2013, and then they all just kind of tanked a little bit, whereas People's United did pretty well. Here's our lump sum investment, no monthly contributions graph right here. You can see where Chevron was really competing with People's United most of the way here. This one down here in the bottom is Consolidated Edison. And then lastly, the lump sum investment plus monthly contributions. You can see here, things were pretty close together all the way through about 2003, and then People's United took off. Chevron was close behind it here. There was a pretty wide gap again, and you can just see that just People's United was just really outperformed the other four when it comes to a 33-year look back. Just as a quick reminder, guys, there's a lot of data here, and I can appreciate that you might have to go slowly through this, or you'd like to see this spreadsheet yourself. Well, the great news is, as part of the Patreon community, you have access to this spreadsheet and all of my spreadsheets that I use in all of my videos. Plus, if you'd like to know when I take action in my own dividend portfolio, what I'm buying, why I'm buying it, the day I do it, plus having access to a monthly dividend stock spreadsheet for all the dividend stocks that have been raising dividends for at least 5 consecutive years, guys. Tons of value there. If you're interested, check out the link in the description below. All right, guys, let's take a look at that second look back period here. Let's go way over here. 11 years now. We're only going back to January of 2010 to see if this changes how these companies perform. People's United Financial really outperformed during that 33-year look back, but what if it's only got 11 years? How did it perform over the past 11 years compared to its competitors? Let's start by looking at monthly contributions, not reinvesting any dividends, to see who the top performer is here. All right, so we've got top performer here from a portfolio value is Consolidated Edison, which was the last place performer in the previous look back, 43,000 here. People's United is in second place at 41,000. Then we've got 38,000 for Chevron, 35 for IBM, and 30 for ExxonMobil. But from a dividend perspective, top performer here is Chevron with 1825 and trailing 12 months of dividends, followed by People's United Financial at 1774. And then we've got Consolidated Edison at 1713, then Exxon, and then IBM. How about if we reinvest those monthly contributions? Does that impact who's in first place? Let's take a look. From an overall portfolio value perspective, top place goes to Consolidated Edison, followed by People's United. Then we've got 48,000 for Chevron, and then IBM and ExxonMobil. Now, if we look at the trailing 12 months of dividends, top performer here is really close to the top here. We've got Chevron at $22.92 and trailing 12 months of dividends. Then we've got second place People's United Financial at $22.77. Then we've got down here $20.53 for Consolidated Edison. Then ExxonMobil at $20.65, followed by IBM in last place at $18.69. Now, if we just have a lump sum investment, if back in January of 2010, if we just invested $100,000, how would that impact our final numbers here? In this case, our $100,000, one thing I want to point out right away is there are two companies here that are worth less. They're worth less than what we initially invested. And that unfortunately was People's United Financial at worth only $97,000 and ExxonMobil worth only $89,000. The other three performed really well from an overall portfolio perspective. We've got $168 for Consolidated Edison, which is great. Then we've got $141 for Chevron, $115 for IBM. If we look at trailing 12 months of dividends, top performer here would be Chevron Corporation, $72.24 in trailing 12 months of dividends, followed by Consolidated Edison at $7,000, followed by, look at last place is People's United Financial when we do a lump sum investment here. $5,400, then $53.35, then $44.71. And then lastly, let's look at this strategy here with respect to a lump sum investment plus monthly contributions. Top performer here is Consolidated Edison at $223. Then we've got Chevron at $189. Then we've got IBM at $159, People's United at $150, and then ExxonMobil at $127. With respect to trailing 12 months of dividends, we've got $95.16 for Chevron, $91.95 for Consolidated Edison, followed by right here ExxonMobil at $74.66. Then IBM at $72.04, then People's United Financial at $67.48. A lot more close together for these companies here. They pretty much stayed together, although you can see where Consolidated Edison was the top performer with monthly contributions and not reinvesting any dividends, followed by People's United Financial. There's a little bit of separation here right around COVID right here where everyone dropped a little bit. Let's scroll down here to reinvesting those dividends. You can see we're still pretty close together on all of them, though there is some separation with Consolidated Edison up here, but at the end, right here, pretty close together. Here's our 11-year look back with lump sum investments. We're not reinvesting dividends with this chart here. You can see that we've got down here People's United where it stayed down below. These last two were worth less than $100,000. People's United as well as ExxonMobil. Top performer here being Consolidated Edison where it really took off here pre-COVID and just stayed pretty high up here. And then lastly, our 11-year look back, lump sum plus monthly reinvested dividends here, where People's United did a little bit better with reinvesting those dividends and having the monthly contributions, but still top performer here, Consolidated Edison. So very interesting guys here. If we look 33 years back, we think running away with it is People's United, but if we only look back 11 years, which is the really relevant data to us as we're new investors now, People's United Financial did not perform as well as the others. It was actually Consolidated Edison of these 5 companies that performed the best. So now that we have this information in front of us, let's look at today's metrics and see which of these 5 companies have good quality dividend metrics right now today here in August of 2021. To do that, we go to our dividend stock spreadsheet here, which is available in the Patreon community for those of you that are interested. These are our 5 companies. We've got 2 here that are in the energy sector. We've got IBM in information technology, People's United in financials, and Consolidated Edison in utilities. Here's their current price per share. Dividend growth rates, we've got the 1, 3, and 5-year dividend growth rates. And what should be alarming to you is that, Exxon hasn't even raised their dividend in the last year, which is they're getting close to losing their dividend streak. Chevron is the only one here that's got a dividend growth rate that exceeds inflation for the most part it exceeds 4% here. You can probably exceed inflation if you're above 3% or above with respect to the dividend growth rate here. So this one's not terrible for Consolidated Edison, but of the dividend growth rates from what I would look for, only Chevron would meet the criteria here. We've got their dividend yields at 6, 5, 4, 4, and 4. You can see that their average dividend yield is actually a little bit lower for all of them. Their dividend yields are higher than their average 5-year dividend yield. Here's their dividend streak, which we already talked about. We've got their free cash flow per share. Again, I like to use free cash flow with respect to a dividend payout ratio because it's actual cash that's available for the business to pay dividends as opposed to net income, which is not really cash flow. Here's their annual dividend and then their payout ratios right here at the end. We've got the standard payout ratio based on net income And then we've got the payout ratio based on free cash flow, which is what I like to use. So if we're looking at free cash flow, the only two that would meet my criteria would be International Business Machines and People's United Financial. However, if we look at the standard payout ratio, we can see that we've got Chevron and Exxon that are both way high on both payout ratios, which would be a no-go for me on both of them. And then we've got, for the net income payout ratio, we've got 73, 62, and 77. These are not terrible, but again, I prefer to use payout ratio based on free cash flow. So if we look at companies that meet all of my criteria, none of them actually do. These two meet it for payout ratio, which I very much weight heavily. But if we look at just these two, IBM and People's United, the growth rates are just not very good at all for both of these companies. I do give them a pass for the 1 year since it's related to COVID, but even if we go back to 3 and 5 years, both of them do not perform very well. I guess IBM would be close here with having 2.47 and 4.26 and then having that yield of 4.69. If someone had a gun to my head and said, pick one of these companies to own in your portfolio, I'd probably own International Business Machines based on it meeting most of my criteria. Hopefully you found some value in this video, guys. The great news is you guys get to pick some of my next videos. I want to do some of these matchups here and continue building out this spreadsheet for Dividend Aristocrats. So do you guys have 5 more Dividend Aristocrats you want me to review and incorporate into the spreadsheet so we can really build it out here? And furthermore, are there other dividend matchups you want to see how companies have performed historically, but also how they perform right now here today? Make sure to leave your 2 cents in the comments below. I want to get your feedback and know which of these companies you want to hear more information about. That's all I got for you guys in this video. Have a great rest of your day, and please continue to stay healthy, both physically and financially. Have a good one.